outrun who you really are.
What's up, Brian Tong here, and this video is exactly what you came for, a spoiler-free review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Marvel's newest movie. And if you're new to my channel, hey, welcome. This is a place where I cover all things tech, geek, and culture, so thank you for hanging out. And now I've seen Shang-Chi twice so far, and of course it meant so much to me to finally see the first Asian superhero and superheroine in the MCU, but I watched it twice so I could watch it once with those feelings and experience it, but I saw it a second time to just watch it as a movie and then take out all those personal feelings. And even doing that, for me, this is a top 10 MCU movie all time. Now, this review will also have a few insights from the movie's director, Destin Daniel Cretton, and I was lucky enough to interview him, so I wanted to include his thoughts in this review as well. Again, there will be no spoilers here, nada, so let's just get into it. And first of all, I absolutely love this movie. This has got to be a must-see MCU movie. If you're deep into all things MCU, really, what movie or Disney Plus series isn't? But Shang-Chi, this just hits different. And yes, it's the first Asian superhero, with Shang-Chi played by Simu Liu, and that's right in front of us. But what stands out the most for me was just how much family plays an important role in the storytelling, because up until now, you know, we've seen superheroes team up to create their own family. We've seen rejects kind of band together, but Shang-Chi is all about a family more than any other MCU film. So these relationships and the plot points, they're just strengthened literally by blood, and it just adds like this other layer of meaning to every interaction. You got legendary actor Tony Leung, who plays the Warrior King Wenwu. He's just amazing in this film, and you know, if you've got daddy issues, so does Shang-Chi, and I think you're going to really feel it when you watch this. Now, without Tony Leung, the film, this is just not the same, and his role as Shang-Chi's father and then their relationship, it's really at the core. Plus, then you have the relationship between Shang-Chi and his sister, Zhan Ling, played by Mengar Zhang, and even his sister's relationship with him, and then his sister's relationship with their father. That's a whole nother, whole nother part, but all of it together, really the heart of the story. So here's what director Destin Daniel Cretton had to say about family. I know you went from Hawaii to the mainland and you left your family, but were there any maybe specific moments or things in your journey that you could even connect, or did you implement within Shang-Chi's journey?
Quite a lot. I mean, Shang-Chi's inner journey is really close to me, and in terms of watching a character, look inside himself, look into the hard times that he's gone through, the painful things he's gone through, and watching him learn to face them, to stop running from them, and redefine them, and actually discover that they are a source of his superpower. They are, once he is able to kind of embrace every part of himself, he steps into the shoes that he's meant to step into. And that's a journey that I really relate to. I think a lot of people can relate to.
I'm assuming that you were not raised by an assassin father, though. Is that safe to?
No.
Okay.
I was not.
Okay. just want to make sure we get that out there, and the internet has a lot of stories that are thrown out about that.
Yeah, let's clear that one up.
Now, the storytelling dives into mythology and elements that remind you of moments from classic Asian films, but what also is unique about the film is that it showcases both the Asian experience and the Asian American experience, sometimes even both. So as an audience, you kind of get to live in both of these worlds. But the focus here on family, this is what makes the storytelling special and then just different compared to any other MCU film we've ever seen, because you can just go to deeper places with that relationship. And that's also why I'm just really excited once the MCU brings the Fantastic Four into the mix, because they're a superhero family. They're a comics first family. And, after watching this, you can bet that they're going to really tap into that aspect as well. The other big thing that makes this movie special, the action. I mean, we have never seen action like this in a Marvel movie. It legit kicks ass, and I'm not trying to hype it up when I say it, but this is also the best action that we've seen in the MCU, because you get everything from the artistry and the gracefulness that you've seen in Asian martial arts flicks. Then you get the high intensity, more raw action moments, and even more comedic fight scenes that I feel like might have to be paying homage to Jackie Chan, because there's this scene, it's all over the trailers, where Simu Liu legit flips his jacket off in mid-fight and then puts it back on and keeps fighting, which then instantly reminded me of a scene from Jackie Chan in Rumble the Bronx where he used his jacket to disarm a man in a supermarket. The action in this movie is spectacular. I just can't say that enough. I mean, when you're watching, it is just captivating. And I wanted to take a moment to also show appreciation and remember Brad Allen, who recently passed away. If you don't know who he is, he was a stuntman and then a protege of Jackie Chan. He was the first non-Asian member of Jackie Chan's stunt team, and he was the stunt coordinator and second unit director for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So when you get hyped for the action scenes, and I know you will, that is the work of Brad Allen and his team. And it's not just the guys who kick ass, the women kick ass too. I mean, 100%, they are just as fierce, and I loved it. Now, this movie also perfectly cast. I mean, I'd be the first to say when I first heard about it, I was like, I'll be honest, I was a little worried because Awkwafina can be a strong character, but I am here to tell you that she absolutely nails this. The movie is not nearly as funny without her. It's not the same without her. This movie has drama, it has action, but it's also really a comedy too, because Awkwafina, who plays Shang-Chi's best friend Katie, she just hits that like perfect balance here. Marvel knows how to use her, and she's absolutely crucial to this film. I also do love how they depict her relationship with Shang. They're truly platonic friends. Like, guys and girls can be friends in real life, and we just rarely see that in movies instead of trying to throw romance down our throats when it just doesn't always have to go there. Now, Michelle Yeoh, a movie legend. She does not disappoint. She's flawless in this movie. And then you have Simu Liu. Man, he's the perfect actor for Shang-Chi. I just don't know today who else could play this role this well. He's awesome, and obviously he has a bright future in the MCU. Plus, I got to give a shout out to my boy Ronnie Chang. He also has his moments too. And again, this isn't a spoiler review. No spoilers here, but what I can say is that the connection to this movie and Iron Man 3 redeems itself, and I just love how Marvel ties them together. I recently watched Iron Man 3 because I was just a guest on the podcast Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong, where we talk about Iron Man 3, 8 years later, on whether critics scored the movie correctly or not and why. And there's other tie-ins that aren't spoilers here. The trailer showed Wong and Abomination facing off. I mean, everyone kind of like hunted those still images down, and that's a real fun scene. There are other cameos that I will not spoil that are worth seeing. But the first action of the movie, this sets the tone. You know it's different, and it just keeps on getting bigger and better after that. But I will say that I wasn't completely a big fan of the climax of the final scene because I do feel like it went away from the characters that we invested in so much. But ultimately, the ending itself was still completely satisfying. Now, Shang-Chi, the other thing that is exciting about this, it opens up the MCU. It opens up a whole new world to explore, and it is truly unlike any Marvel movie you have ever seen. If you're thinking I'm hyping this up too much, I'm not. And then also, think about this. Just to bring a new, fresh way of storytelling this deep into the MCU, that is not easy to do, but this movie, absolutely a must-see. Now, it's only being released in theaters, so you won't be able to see it on Disney Plus or stream it at home anytime soon. So my recommendation is go to the theaters and be safe, because I've seen the movie both on a Dolby Cinema screen and an IMAX screen. And I got to tell you, you have to see it on IMAX. It was shot with IMAX in mind, the formatting, the framing, and to get the full vision of what they intended, the best way to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is in IMAX. And quite honestly, it's the only way to see it for me. I'm going to go back to the theaters, and that's how I'm going to watch it. And then what about those 10 rings? I mean, it's in the title. It's a central piece of the story. How powerful are they? Well, I asked Destin himself.
Also, I think a lot of people are curious. Towards the end of the movie, we see the rings being analyzed, but from what you know, how powerful are these actual rings? I mean, is there any comparison in the MCU with the knowledge that they've given you or that you have?
Well, based on our movie, they're pretty powerful. We definitely did not, at least in the context of our movie, we didn't want them to become so powerful that they are, a little too just bananas out there. But I mean, I think they are a tool that, if you can learn to use them correctly, will be extremely powerful. And we get a glimpse of what they're able to do in the final act of our movie. And I think Shang-Chi, by the end of our movie, is honestly just beginning to learn how to tap into what they're capable of.
So more to be discovered there. Also, there are 2 post-credit scenes. Stay for them both. one of them at least gives us a hint of how this movie is connected to Phase 4 of the MCU. That is not a spoiler. The other thing I was thinking the whole time is that Shang-Chi is based in San Francisco, and I love that because I lived in San Francisco for 7 years, and there's just so many familiar sights and streets that capture the essence of the city. But come on, we all know this. There's also a couple other superheroes in San Francisco, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and maybe we'll see them work together in the future. I mean, this is clearly a franchise that is not going to go away anytime soon. But coming up next now, we have The Eternals. This is the next MCU movie coming November 5th, and the trailer, oh my goodness, it is absolutely gorgeous. And because of that, I also asked Destin if there were any connections or maybe shared notes with him and director Chloe Zhao.
Obviously, you and Chloe Zhao, two new directors to the MCU, with amazing kind of character independent films that have shown the development of the characters. Did you guys actually bounce any notes off of each other, being kind of the two, I don't want to call you the newbies in the MCU, but new directors, new to this platform? Did you guys compare any notes or talk about things?
I mean, ideas at Marvel fly around between productions all the time. We're typically not in a room with other directors, like throwing ideas around. But what's being developed in one room will very often show up in another room, and we're informed, oh, you can't do that because of this, or you can do that because of this, or you might be able to tie those two things together. So that integration, I think, is really important to the Marvel process, and it makes creation there really fun.
So, if you can't tell already, I love this movie, and if I had to rank it, personally, compared to all the movies in the entire MCU, I don't think it breaks into my top 5 Marvel movies, and that's Elite Company, but here they are, my top 5. They can sometimes flip around in order, but Captain America, Winter Soldier, then you have Captain America, Civil War. I mean, who's not going to put that in their top 5? It's probably a top 5. Then at number 3 for me, Black Panther. Then you get the first Guardians of the Galaxy. But then, for me, it's a tie for 5th between the first Iron Man that started it all, and it's also a great movie, and then the very first Avengers movie. It's not a cop-out, but I got to give those two like similar ranking for the top 5. And I know that might trigger some of you, but I'd love to hear your personal top 5 MCU movies in the comments, because quite honestly, this is your list versus my list. There is no wrong answer unless you say Thor: Dark World. But Shang-Chi, easily in my top 10 MCU films of all time. It is that good. It's a top 10 flick for me, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, if I'm scoring the film, just giving it a raw score, let's say out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And then if I'm scoring it because this is the first Asian superhero in the MCU, I'll add those personal feelings on top of it. Then I'm going to give it a 9.5. So there you have it. I got through this without any spoilers like I promised. I did, but this is a movie that has amazing storytelling, Asian mythology, family dynamics, almost like Shakespearean, that are at the heart of this story. The martial arts and action scenes are unlike anything you have seen in the MCU, and the movie is laugh out loud funny. I don't know what else you could ask for. I wish I could say more, but I'm not going to. This is a spoiler-free review. Maybe I'll do a spoiler-filled one. There's just so much to talk about here, but Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings in theaters on September the 3rd. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and if you like what you see here, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get my next videos when they drop. Until then, I will see you next time. Take care now. Shang-Chi.